Welcome to The Forecast by Ahom, connecting with people one story at a time. In this series, I'll be reviewing news the people in my network, are talking about. As a business founder, D&I consultant, and community builder, I know great content inspires. I'm going to react to today's story, and then Jazz, the AI, will read it aloud to you. We have so much to cover, so please like, follow, share, and let's get started. Welcome and welcome back. My name's Ahom. This is the Forecast podcast and part 3 of Qatar World Cup 2022 feedback. Thanks for all the comments regarding the armband, regarding racism, workers' rights, LGBTQ plus issues, racism, all of these things happening in and around football, especially at the World Cup. And this episode, as promised, we're going to ask and answer questions on the topic. Should the World Cup even be in Qatar? As always, I invite everybody to comment, to converse. Let's have a discussion about this. I have my opinions. I have strong beliefs and views. They are not set in stone. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone, to listen to anyone, and for us to debate. At the end of that, we can agree to disagree, but hopefully we learn and we exchange and we keep the dialogue open and the conversation flowing. So without further ado, I'm going to give you my opinion. Should Qatar have the World Cup? So bear with me. As I said, I'm going off the top. These latest episodes I'm doing after a year out are off the top of the head. No notes. Might do some retakes, but I'm just going to flow. Here's my opinion. Should Qatar have the World Cup? Well, I think it's important to note from my perspective that football and sport bring people together. Exercise, expressing ourselves, these are things that are all very important to everyone and to me. I feel that events like the World Cup or the Olympics are global events, are human events, and without them, we're losing something. Lots of people, in my opinion, have learned about other cultures, other races, other ethnicities, other countries through sport, through meeting athletes, through events like the Olympics, for example. Children get to hear new place names and they ask questions about the people there. What do they eat? What's the culture like? What's the capital? So I feel strongly about the importance of sport in our societies. And if we only have these events in London, in Berlin, in New York, in Amsterdam, in Stockholm, I think it's a huge it's a loss of opportunity. And I also think there's a lot of Eurocentrism there. The world is bigger than Europe. I'm a black man, born and raised in England, but I'm educated and I'm educated, and I feel very strongly that part of our advantage and part of our the great thing about our society, or as a humankind, as a human race, is that we are so diverse, and with that diversity, we must make sure we embrace inclusion, and we must include others. For so long, and yeah, again, if I'm going to offend anyone, I don't actually care about that. I think the important thing is education and moving forward. Racism is a thing, real thing. Imperialism, colonialism are very real. It's been a cancer on this planet for way too long, and we have to appreciate and include others. This is why I think these events cannot only be, for example, in Europe or North America. There are I've been to South America, I've been to Asia, I've been to Africa. Wonderful places. Feel at home in those places. Feel welcomed in those places. And the level of hospitality that those people have shown me in those places is almost unrivaled. So I think you can see where I'm going with this. The World Cup, the Olympics must be a traveling circus throughout the world. Now, I'll concede that, of course, if they are going to places that aren't ready for them, that cannot do it justice, who struggle to put on a good event, then of course that's a question mark, a big question mark. And here it comes. Who's responsible for putting on an event? Do we just put on a massive event like the World Cup or the Olympics in a tiny nation state island in the middle of the Pacific? Probably they're not ready for it, and we're not ready for it because we can't get there. Communication is not good enough. Not enough flights there, not enough hotels there. So there are infrastructural issues. And going back to the topic, does Qatar have any of these issues? Yes, they do. But so do many European countries and many countries that maybe people are more familiar with. I've been to the Middle East many times. I've been to neighboring countries. I know their advantages and I know some of the disadvantages. But again, I think that the World Cup, we must try to put these spectacles in the global shop window. Now, let's get to some of the controversy. The bid, as far as we understand, we meaning, general layman people, we hear things, we read things in different kinds of medias. We hear that the bid for winning the World Cup was not all above board. There was some corruption, there was some unsavory activity, insidious behavior, and therefore, if a bid is not won fair and square, if there is too much corruption, again, let's be clear, corruption happens everywhere. Negativity, greed, that's a global thing. That's not a thing from the Middle East only. So if there's too much and it's proven and it's completely dodgy, then of course they shouldn't have won the bid in the first place. However, again, we have to recognize that Russia, from the same investigation, was proven the same thing: corruption, illegitimate bids, people being paid off. So if Qatar shouldn't have it, Russia shouldn't have had it. And I'm in Germany at the moment. I've been told, and I understand that the event in Germany was proven to be shrouded in corruption and controversy as well. So my point is the hypocrisy. And I want to be clear on that. If Qatar shouldn't have the World Cup or shouldn't have had the World Cup because of corruption and those kinds of things, we have to also highlight that the same things happened in Russia and in Germany. So if corruption is happening everywhere or in all of these bids, where is the corruption happening? Now, everyone I've spoken to, everything I've read, points to FIFA. So it's not the location of the event, it's the location, it's the event organizers. And that's my point. When you hire a wedding planner and they are supposed to do everything and find you a venue and make sure the cooks and the waiters and waitresses are doing their job, all the champagne's chilled, the meat is cooked, vegetables have been washed, all that stuff. When things are going wrong and there's been problems, bribery, whatever's happening, you don't blame the venue. You blame the people who are responsible for making sure the event goes well. And as far as I understand, FIFA, it's their event. Qatar is just the location. So, getting into the topic of LGBTQ plus rights in Qatar, or workers, or the many people who have been slain or have lost their lives in the process of making a World Cup, I think we have to take responsibility and say, well, we are the consumer. This product has been made for us, the consumer. If people are dying in the process of building the product, we also have to look at ourselves. We have to take responsibility. Yeah, if there's a brand, a clothing brand that we know are paying people awfully or not paying, as slave labor, people are dying in the factories, do you keep on investing your money and keep on promoting that brand, buying that brand, and saying it's not my problem? You have to also sometimes vote with your feet, and that's what some people are doing when it comes to boycotting the games. But my point is, if people want to boycott the games, go ahead. But I think it's too easy to just to stand back and not say that we are implicated in some cases. It's not as complicated as, it's not as easy as just saying, well, Qatar is to blame and I'm boycotting Qatar. It's not that simple, because it's happened also in other places, Russia and Germany, in terms of the selection of the location. Now, Russia and Germany, maybe some people say, have better records when it comes to LGBTQ rights and workers' rights. Maybe so. But why do we have problems like that in certain countries and other countries don't? Is it because they're all completely backwards and brain dead? And this is what I'm hearing and seeing in my comments. And I just, sorry, I don't subscribe to kind of broadly condemning an entire country or ethnic group to the status of inhospitable, terrible, hateful people. I can't say that, because these things are happening in too many places around the world. I don't want to see anybody being hurt for their beliefs, for their lifestyle, for their religion, for their color. I don't want to see people disrespected because of who they lay down with at night. Respect is very important. Valuing people, viewing people, listening and communicating with people, very important. So again, one of my points that I made in another video and online on TikTok, I think it was, is that if the event wasn't there, those the injustices that do happen in some of these countries wouldn't be highlighted. I'm not, of course, I'm not for a second saying that it's good people are hurt or disrespected or die so we can talk about it. Of course not. But when the spotlight is on, when people are under the microscope, they have to change. At least the conversation comes up. I feel that one of the advantages of the World Cup being there is that now we are talking about it. Now the people who are responsible or not responsible are in the limelight, and the dialogue is happening. People are meeting. They realize that people can do better. They can do better. And they partner with others who are doing better. They learn from them. That's business. That's life. Football is a business. I'm sorry to tell anyone. I'm a huge football fan, played football to a high level. But football is a business. And we have to show business people that there is ways to make money. There are ways to make money and be ethical. So, in summary, I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for your thoughts on this. Please get at me, respond, reply, comment on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, all those places. I just want to I want to help people to think about this in a different way. So, to underline my points, I think it's terrible that anyone loses their life building or working at work. I think people who are working have to have the right conditions to do a good job, and the basic conditions in all over the world, especially in some regions, has to improve. So there's no doubt about that. The treatment of gay people, for example, and the LGBTQ plus community has to improve, irrespective of your background, your religion, your beliefs. Everyone should have a safe experience. And after the basics of being safe, They have to be valued. Everyone has to be valued and listened to, and every place that doesn't have that has to do better. Some places are doing better than others, of course, but I don't like to say, well, the West does well, the East is poor. I can't say that. I can't bring myself to say that. I think we all have to task ourselves to do better. And should the World Cup have been in Qatar in the first place, it shouldn't be anywhere that wins a bid illegitimately, irrespective of the continent it's in. Now, the people of Qatar and the region love football. We've seen how many locals are going to the matches, watching the matches. They love football just as much as anywhere else. The same thing was said about the tournament in South Africa, that Africans shouldn't have football. They don't like football enough. It's not safe in Africa. There's a lot wrong with these kinds of statements. Now, looking back at the tournament, was it a perfect tournament? No. Was it a tournament that many people remember? Yes. I have lots of friends who played in that tournament and lots of friends who went to that tournament as a fan. They loved it. And that proved that we can do events. We, FIFA, the West, whoever, football can pull off events in South Africa. The next is to do Sub-Saharan Africa, or let's see. I'm optimistic about the future, and I'm optimistic also about Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman. I'm optimistic about these countries, and that's the difference. I have a lot of contact with people who are not optimistic about these kinds of people. They think that these places are the seventh ring of hell, and I just don't see it that way. So I'm optimistic that Qatar will do better. I think they will learn. I think they will progress. I think this tournament should help. Hopefully, it goes well without any more loss of life. I think that there are many gay people. I've seen many people from the LGBT community go to Qatar. They haven't been thrown in prison. They haven't been pressured, which is a good thing, of course. Hopefully, they can go there and enjoy their experience. But everybody, both sides, can learn, and there can be less ignorance, more understanding and education. And it's a process. Unfortunately, there's been too much pain so far, and I hope there was very little to none to come. But should the World Cup be in Qatar? I believe so, yes. Is it the perfect place? No. Can Qatar and FIFA learn from this? Qatar, I think, has learned a lot already about the willpower of people who support the LGBTQ plus and anti-racism causes and all these things. I think those people have learned a lot about the will and the determination of good people, and together I hope we can all move in the right direction. The criticism that Qatar gets, I think a lot of it should be laid at the table of FIFA, and that organization needs massive reform. I'm, as a football fan and someone who lives in Europe, I believe that FIFA it has to take responsibility for all the failures that have happened when it comes to football and putting on football events, all the miscommunication around the armband, around the beer, all of that stuff. FIFA have to take responsibility and not put any of that onto the location. And if they do that, then we can look forward to many quality events across the world in the future. Sustainability is a big issue, and that's my final point. I think what they're going to do with all these new stadiums in the middle of the desert, as they say, that's a topic. And what I would say to finish this piece is FIFA have to think about who is able to bid. Maybe the top 50 countries in the FIFA rankings, or top 30, I don't know. Maybe there has to be more rules in place for the bidding process, so it's not possible for anyone to bid who's just got deep pockets, which seems to be the case. Any country that can buy off a few famous celebrities and politicians can win the bid. I think there has to be some rules in place to stop that from happening. Maybe there needs to be a certain number of stadiums, um, you know, train lines, airports in the vicinity for it to happen. And if that's the case, then if you don't meet the criteria, then it's not a case of, well, we'll just chuck a load of money at it. I think we have to do better. Whatever the criteria is, it has to be fair, it has to be available, so it's not only the most developed countries do it, but what we can't have are situations like this happening again, where illegitimate bids, death, and corruption are even in the topic. So, this is me signing off. Tell me what you think. Am I too harsh? Am I too lenient? Do you think that these people should never be anywhere near a World Cup or a Olympics? Should it only stay in Western Europe? Let me know what you think. Would you ever visit Qatar or the Middle East? If not, why not? Let me know. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next episode.